In the beginning, there was chaos. This chaos was an existence of emptiness and endless water. There was no reality of darkness and light, life and death, land and the sea. Nothing as we know now was distinguishable. The ancient Egyptians called this state Nun. It was before anything. Endless water, emptiness, formlessness, timelessness, and darkness. Out of this chaos, a divine consciousness brought order. It was intelligent and creative. It knew how to set things right. Therefore, there was light, land, life, and cosmic balance. But there was a catch. Order was not always permanent. Nun was always surrounding the ordered universe, threatening to return as soon as something in the cosmos went wrong. Because of this, creation was not a one-time thing. It was an ongoing process. Every time there was noon, like darkness at night, order would return in the morning when the sun came. All participants of the cosmos, whether human or non-human, would have to maintain this order through renewal. If there was chaos, restoration would have to take place. If death occurred, rebirth would follow. Where things collapsed, renewal would happen. Stability and balance was the goal. This state was known as Ma'at, meaning the universe working correctly. If it was not working properly, there would be Isfet, which was disorder. After a night of darkness, fear, and underworld activities, the sun would rise in the morning. When the waters of the Nile would flood, fertile land would emerge next. When people died, they would be reborn in the afterlife. Ma'at was order, truth, balance, harmony, justice, and stability. It was everything. Without it, the Egyptians could fall back into chaos and destruction. My name is Amon. Stay with me and welcome to the Amon J Diaries. Like gravity being the invisible force that causes things to fall, divine force removed the randomness of the universe. This force was a goddess, and she too was called Ma'at. She was the visible manifestation of order in Egyptian culture. That's why you might see images of a pharaoh presenting Ma'at to Ra, which means he's offering order. She is often depicted with a feather on her head. This feather is weighed against the heart of someone after death. If the heart is balanced and truthful, the person may continue into eternal life. If not, it is destroyed. The gods uphold Ma'at. The pharaoh protects Ma'at. Rituals preserve Ma'at, and the temples symbolize Ma'at. This feather is one of the most important symbols in Egyptian religion. There were some powerful realities that the Egyptians observed, like the Nile flooding every year, the sun that would give life, death, fertility, storms, truth, or social order. They had to be sacred and a sort of revelation of divine power. There was certainly guided order that could only be explained by the supernatural. Gods were involved, and over time, they understood them and their works. They maintained and expressed stability. They always fought the chaos to achieve Ma'at. They gave reassurance to the people that life would always be stable as long as they were appeased. So communities began performing rituals, and over generations, the gods acquired names, myths, symbols, and personalities. The god of the sun, Ra. Certainty versus darkness. Night brings uncertainty. Darkness feels like disappearance, but every morning the sun comes back. Order returns and life continues. Ra represents the daily renewal, stability of cosmic rhythm, and victory over darkness, not once, but daily. The sun god Ra was the first ruler who set everything in the universe in order. He was the king of both humans and gods. He eventually grew old and people began to rebel against him. He then transformed his daughter Hathor into a ferocious Sekhmet to punish humanity. This goddess Hathor caused terror but would sometimes calm down when Ra gave her a red beer, which she would often mistake for blood. After this crisis, Ra decided to leave the earth and rule from the sky. He was tired. The sky god Nut lifted him up into the heavens, and that's where he stayed after. From then on, Ra traveled across the sky each day in a solar boat. In the morning, he would come up in the east, then descend into the underworld at night, where he would fight dangerous forces of chaos like the serpent Apep. After defeating it, the sun, which was Ra's solar boat, would rise again the next morning. The symbol on Ra's left hand is the Ankh. It somehow looks like a cross. It means breath of life, immortality, and divine power to sustain existence. When a god has this symbol, it means he gives you life or sustains your life force. The energy is being transferred from one being to another. The staff on his right hand represents power or authority, divine control over chaos, order over disorder, literally Ma'at. This staff is called a war scepter. Most of the times it has a fork or animal head at the top. The god of death, Osiris, loss versus continuity. In life, people have to deal with the issue of death. It is inevitable. Bodies decay and memories disappear. For a good balance, there would have to be continuity beyond death and preservation of identity. The god who is responsible for this is Osiris. He represents resurrection, afterlife, continuity, and regeneration of life, like crops growing again after a flood. After Ra went to the sky to rule over the day and night, other gods succeeded him and ruled the world under his orders. The greatest of them all was Osiris. Osiris was a great king who ruled Egypt in a just and prosperous way. His brother Set became jealous and murdered him. He then dismembered Osiris and scattered the pieces of his body across Egypt. Osiris's wife Isis searched for the pieces of his body and magically restored him. Through divine power, she was able to conceive a child with him after his death. That child was Horus. After, Osiris didn't return to the land of the living. Instead, he became the king of the underworld, ruling over the dead. Osiris has two objects crossed over his chest. The crook in his right hand, that's like a staff with a curved top, is called the Heka staff. It is a symbol of leadership or kingship. Shepherds usually use something like this to guide sheep, so this is where the idea came from. The ruler guides people the way shepherds guide sheep. In his left hand, there is a flail called Nekaka. It's a symbol of fertility and renewal. It represents authority and discipline. The power of Osiris brings life and order. He is the king of the afterlife and divine judge of the dead. The crown on his head is the Atef crown. A white crown means Upper Egypt kingship. Feathers represents divine authority, connection to truth, and Ma'at. His green skin represents regeneration in the sense of plants growing, fertility, or new life after death. When he's shown with black skin, it can mean the black soil of the Nile that shows fertile land after flooding and the rebirth of agriculture. Sometimes Osiris is depicted as a mummy because of the myth about how he was killed and resurrected. He's the first king of the dead. The god of kingship, Horus and Set. Order versus collapse. The land falls into chaos without leadership, so it's needed. Sometimes power struggles happen and unity is threatened. So there needs to be stable authority, like a strong king and legitimate system of rule to avoid chaotic power struggles. The gods responsible for rulership on the land were Horus and Set. Like I mentioned before, Set was the jealous brother of Osiris who killed him and took over his throne. Horus was the son of resurrected Osiris and Isis. When Horus grew up, he fought Set and took over his father's throne. So, this myth symbolized the restoration of order after chaos. Order is Horus ruling legitimately from his father, and chaos here is Set, ruling after killing the legitimate king. From this story, the Egyptians were able to set up a system of royal succession where the son became king after the father died. The son represented Horus, who was the living pharaoh, and the father Osiris, the ruler of the afterlife. Every Egyptian pharaoh was kind of a god of the land. Falcons fly higher than other birds. They have really sharp vision and can attack something precisely from above. Horus is the high ruler who sees everything and dominates from the sky. He's a big brother character. He conducts surveillance over everything. His ability to understand a lot shows his divine awareness. He's an omnipresent guardian. He also symbolizes protection of Egypt from above. This is because of how aware he is. The Eye of Horus is the most famous Egyptian symbol. It represents protection, healing, restoration, and wholeness. This eye is what regained the order that was broken by Set, Horus's uncle. When you see the Eye of Horus, you can think, after chaos, power restores. The Eye of Horus is related to the moon. It protects from negative forces by deflecting them. The god of the Nile, Hapi. Fertility versus famine. After the flooding of the Nile, abundance of crops follow. When drought comes, people starve. Survival really depends on timing. There needs to be fertility and predictable cycles of life so that people know how to deal with these circumstances. Hapi is the god that controls flooding, agricultural abundance, and life emerging from water cycles. In Egyptian art, he'll be seen carrying lotus plants, papyrus, and offerings for food. The lotus represents Upper Egypt, and the papyrus represents Lower Egypt, so Hapi also symbolized political unity and harmony between the two regions. This is perfect Ma'at. Hapi is happy. He has a soft, well-fed body with a large belly and full chest. He just looks like a fertile person. Even if he's a male, he has heavy breasts like a woman's. It's not that they were creating an androgynous person, but all his features are to show prosperity and fertility. He's often painted blue to represent water like that of the Nile or floods that give life. When he's painted green, he represents plants growing and agriculture. The life that the river carries is happy. Sometimes Hapi is seen carrying trays with fish, fruits, grain, or flowers. This is to show that everything good comes from the Nile, and without the flood, crops would fail, livestock would suffer, and the Egyptian civilization will struggle. When two happy figures are tying together lotus and papyrus plants, the image symbolizes the union of Upper and Lower Egypt, political harmony, and national unity. Think of it like the Nile is what unites the country. The water plants on his head also identify him as the life of the Nile. The god of protection, Anubis, life versus danger. Life can be dangerous. There are predators, diseases, accidents, unseen threats from another world or nature itself. There has to be protection of some sort. The god Anubis provided this. Anubis represents safety, protection when transitioning from physical death into the afterlife. Maybe the spirit would get lost somewhere as it was trying to go to the next life. Anubis also guarded the boundaries of different worlds. One story is that Anubis is the son of Osiris and Nephthys. Another is that Anubis is the one who helped to preserve and embalm Osiris when he was exed by Set. Because he did this, he then became the boss of mummification of bodies and transitioning into the afterlife. He guards the tombs. Wild jackals liked hanging around cemeteries on the edge of the desert, possibly to eat bodies buried in shallow caves. Egyptians inverted their character to make them seem like protectors of the tombs and not scavengers. The black representation of Anubis means rebirth and resurrection. Black skin also represents fertile Nile soil in a lot of Egyptian symbolism. The ankh which he carries symbolizes continuation of existence. Death is not the end, but just a passage. The vast scepter in his right hand symbolizes his authority within the realm of the dead.